the Madman! Welcome to the latest cards revealed from Voyage to the Sunken City. First, we start off with a card that could be a 0 mana 8/8. It's the good old Giant. This time around, it's a Noggin Giant. 20 mana 8/8. Costs 1 less for each mana you've spent on spells this game. That is a huge Naga. Fits in well with the theme that Nagas like spells. Well, Noggin Giant likes spells. It's quite a bit different from Arcane Giant, which rewarded you for playing many spells, which meant you wanted to play cheap spells. Noggin Giant goes in a variety of decks. Could go in the type of deck with many small spells. Could go into the deck with many big spells or medium spells. The point is, big spells have a big effect on Noggin Giant. Yeah, if you're playing a Naga deck, you're going to have spells, and depending on how many spells you have and how much you want to play Noggin Giant seems like it could be a fit. Really interesting card, and one of the spells to watch out for with this would be something like Full-Blown Evil. Now, I'm not saying that Warlock is going to be the pick for the spell deck with the Naga necessarily, but Full-Blown Evil, when I went to think about it, can actually be cast multiple times. And some Naga care about casting spells multiple times. So what if you just cast Full-Blown Evil 3 times? Well, Noggin Giant gets discounted by 9. You cast 3 spells. That really could be something. Full-Blown Evil just might be the card that gets helped out the most from Naga. Over in Demon Hunter Land, we've got Fellscale Sea Witch. 2 mana 2/2 Naga, Outcast. Reduce the cost of your left and rightmost card in your hand by 1. Hard to say whether or not you can put together a Naga deck for Demon Hunter yet, but this seems like just a generally good card, especially for aggressive type decks. Net 0 mana 2/2, and sometimes reducing cards' mana cost is actually better than the very card itself being counted as a 0 mana 2/2, because it allows you to play cards earlier than you're supposed to. It's a ramp. Now, you don't want to play this guy in a deck that has too big of cards, otherwise you couldn't play this card on the Outcast left or right, because there might be big cards on the sides. It's a little bit awkward because Naga tend to be the reactive type of deck where you have spells, and Fellscale Sea Witch wants to be played in a proactive type of deck where you can play out a bunch of cards so you can get Fellscale Sea Witch to the left or the right, and then you can play her to play more cards. Looks like a good card, but not sure it'll actually see any play. Hullscar Commander, 6 mana 2/6 Naga, taunt Battlecry. If you cast 3 spells while holding this, summon 2 copies of this. Wow, who would have thought that Demon Hunter would be the one getting Spreading Plague? So this is like a guaranteed better than average Spreading Plague, assuming that the opponent had 3 minions in play. But this one you can just play no matter how many minions your opponent has. That's a really strong aggro stopper. It's like, wow, 6 mana, 18 health worth of taunt. Wow, aggro decks hate this guy. This is a really strong push for Demon Hunter to potentially have a late game deck, and perhaps a later game Demon Hunter deck with Naga and spells just might be possible. Coilscar Commander is such a good card that it's just so tempting to really run that Naga package with perhaps, and I keep saying this each time I see a Naga in Demon Hunter, run it in Fell Demon Hunter, which casts a bunch of spells. Have a Naga package. This becomes more and more likely the more Naga that I see that are really, really strong. And Coilscar Commander, that is a 6/18 for 6 mana when you add up all the stat numbers. Now you can't really add stats up that way, but that is 18 health of taunt for 6 mana. To some extent, you can add it up that way. That is a lot of taunt. My control self is salivating. Demon Hunter is one of my least played classes, and even I want to build a control Demon Hunter deck on seeing this. Next up, we got Volcanomancy for Mage. 2 mana fire spell. Choose a minion. When it dies, deal 3 damage to all other minions. Interesting. Awkward. In order for Volcanomancy to work well, your opponent needs to have a pretty full board, and then you need to cast the spell to like combo with another presumably spell so that you can deal 3 damage to all their minions. I mean, you save some mana, but it's so awkward because you always have to use at least 2 cards, probably, in order to clear a board. The card that you're clearing, you don't get to deal the 3 damage AoE to it. This is so specific, it takes so much work. I'm too lazy, I don't want to be a Volcanomancer. Way too much work, I think. For Shaman, we've got Wrathspine Enchanter, 7 mana 5/4 Naga with Battle Cry. Cast a copy of a Fire, Frost, and Nature spell in your hand. Target's chosen randomly. Holy Toledo! Okay, Blizzard, we get it. We get it. You want us to cast Fire, Frost, and Nature spells in our multi-caster Shaman deck. I think I get it, and you probably want us to put some Naga in there too. Alright, cool. I getcha. I getcha. You've got the payoffs for having the Fire, the Frost, and Nature spells. Now the question is, what are the Fire, Frost, and Nature spells? And we simply don't know until the core set has also been revealed. Is this deck going to be any good? The tools are there for it, and if it's not good in this expansion, strong chance that you keep looking out for it across the year, because that is a lot of support for many different school spells. Shaman deck. It's 7 mana, 5/4, draw and cast 3 spells, where the cards you draw are the cards already in your hand. It's just that you play a copy of them. So you get a Fire, Frost, and Nature spell for free alongside with your 5/4. That's some value, and whether or not this card is good entirely depends on the quality of Fire, Frost, and Nature spells out there. So we'll see. We conclude this particular card reveal with a fun little puzzle. Let's see if you can get into the mind of Trump. These are 3 cards in a cycle. You got the 1 mana 4/1 Beast Pelican Diver, dormant for 1 turn, rush. Dormant, for those who forgot what that meant, is you play it, it's uninteractable on the board, and then the next turn you can do something with it. Dormant back in Outlands used to be 2 turns, so this is like very much faster, and these cards all have rush, so they immediately act when they wake up. So you got that Pelican Diver for 1. You got Slime Skill Diver for 3 mana 2/4 Murloc, dormant for 1 turn, rush and poisonous, and you got Gangplank Diver, 5 mana 6/4, dormant for 1 turn, rush, immune while attacking. So think about the mind of me here. I think one of these cards is incredible. One of these cards is good, should find a place somewhere. And one of these cards is trash. I think it's really easy to overlook the particular card that I think is incredible, by the way. You've got this pause, you're not gonna peek, right? You're gonna post which one you think is the incredible one. When I looked at these cards, I immediately went back to my old school thought of Doomsayer. Doomsayer is a card that sometimes you want to proactively play on the board to stop the opponent from playing a card, because it would be too devastating for your opponent to play anything into the card. This is kind of the same case for the card that I think is incredible, which is ding ding ding, Slime Skill Diver. You play this card on the board and your opponent cannot play a really strong card, because otherwise Slime Skill Diver just rushes into it and kills it for a really good exchange. So this is a great card to play while you're ahead, but not only while you're ahead, it's practically a tie against any other big card. You play it, sure, you're going to get hit once, but the Slime Skill Diver will be able to trade into it. And if you play it early, your opponent could play something with 3 attack or 2 attack, and then the Diver kills it, and then there's still a poisonous minion that you have to deal with from the opponent's side. Super annoying! Think about this card in some sort of control deck, where you play this turn 8 proactively. I mean, what's your opponent gonna do? Are they gonna play their big card at the end of the game? No, they're gonna wait. And then your guy's gonna wake up, maybe it can't do anything. They have to clear the Diver. In some ways, it's bought you a turn and a half. You can play this in response to one big threat as well, as long as you have some health to lose when they hit you. In this way, it's kind of like a neutral Corruption, but it's way better than Corruption just because there's so many ways to use this card. Play it on 3, play it when you're ahead on the board just to secure the win, play it when the board is empty to deny the opponent from playing a good card. But this is just generally good. It could fit into a lot of different decks. I don't think this is particularly obvious, but I actually think this is kind of the type of initially unobtrusive looking card, and this actually might get nerfed. Like, that's how much I think Slimescale Diver is good. It's so cheap for a guaranteed 1-for-1, and more than just a 1-for-1. You can play it, and then you can prevent the opponent from playing stuff. Also Murloc, so maybe if there's a Murloc deck running around, it'll include Slimescale Diver. So which card did I think was okay / fine / maybe even good? It's Gangplank Diver. Much the same reason as the Slimescale Diver. Maybe I would have thought Gangplank Diver was amazing if I didn't see the amazingness that was Slimescale Diver. But for all the reasons of the Slimescale Diver, Gangplank Diver is the same way. It doesn't quite kill anything, but 6 attack is a lot. And more importantly, after you kill their guy, you still have a 6/4. So this is also a pretty good card for the control deck, because the Dorman tends to be too slow for the tempo decks. Maybe this is a good value card, and there's a value Pirate Rogue out there. Gangplank Diver looks like a fine addition to that deck. It's just importantly, unlike Slimescale Diver, Gangplank Diver is significantly more expensive, so you can't do other stuff while playing your Diver. Also, you can't play this Diver quite as early, so if the meta is more aggressive, the Gangplank Diver might be too slow, whereas the Slimescale Diver is just so flexible. And then you have Pelican Diver. This card's trash. So hard to be able to justify 1 mana deal 4, but get delayed 1 turn. Like, maybe by then you've taken too much damage. There's just so many things that can go wrong with Pelican Diver. Number 1, you can go up against the minion that summons another minion. You know, like Alley Cat. I know Alley Cat doesn't exist, but Alley Cat's an example of a card that's so bad for Diver to deal with. If your opponent doesn't play anything, and it passes back to you and then back to them, they may be able to remove the Diver with their hero power. The 1 health is way too detrimental in order to play this proactively. But I gotta say, despite all those shortcomings, and while I'm saying this is trash, I would have thought, especially if I didn't see the other 2 cards, that this card was, you know, an interesting filler card. And I could potentially see it. But after seeing the other 2, I'm like, oh no, there's no way Pelican Diver will be the one that's good. Cool Diver set. I think while this looks like just arena goodness, I really, really think that this neutral common Slimescale Diver card could see quite a lot of play. So were you right? Did you guess the card that I thought was incredible out of the Diver set? If you did, brag, and cool cards. Looking forward to seeing what surfaces next from the Sunken City.